I have a friend named Prudencio. Prudencio lives in the mountains outside Oaxaca in the south of Mexico. And for the longest time, he's made a living growing coffee. Since he was a child, he's walked the rows of his family's finca, studying the beans of each tree carefully and picking them one by one at the time they're most flavorful. He's 36 years old, married, with 3 beautiful children. Now take a look at his eyes. There's a lens inside our eyes, and as you can see, the lens inside his eyes have grown absolutely opaque. He's got cataracts, and he's completely blinded by them. He's got a job he can't do. He's got a family he can't feed. He's got an 18-month-old daughter he's never even seen. It doesn't have to be this way. It's within our power right now to restore the sight to Prudencio and to millions of other people just like him. I'm an eye surgeon. For 30 years, I've built and managed a practice in Jacksonville, Florida. Over that time, I've done maybe 20,000 cataract surgeries. That's a lot. And for the longest time, I thought I knew pretty much everything there was to know about cataracts. In 2009, all that changed for me. I remember I was driving home one November evening when I couldn't help but notice how distracting the lights of the oncoming cars seemed. And that was weird for me because that's something usually my patients say. And a few days later, I caught myself complaining about the print in the newspaper. That too. Soon enough, I was taking off my glasses and cleaning them over and over, trying to remove a smudge that never seemed to come clear, or blinking over and over, as if that might improve my sight. And then one day I looked up across the kitchen table and noticed that I couldn't recognize my wife sitting 5 feet in front of me. I was going blind. I was going blind from cataracts. A few weeks later, I found myself in that place I'd always wished I'd never have to be, lying on a hospital bed, staring up into the wrong end of an operating microscope. My surgeon used 2 diamond blades and made incisions in my eyes, and then he entered my eye with a $60,000 ultrasound probe. This thing's a microscopic jackhammer, and with it, he pulverized and liquefied and sucked out my cloudy cataract. He then replaced my cloudy human lens with a clear plastic lens. By the next morning, I could see again. The surgery took 15 minutes, cost about $2,000, and it gave me my life back. I spent the next few days marveling at the magic of what had happened to me. The sky was bluer than I'd ever imagined, the trees were greener, and the whole world pulsed with a vibrancy and a clarity that stunned and astounded me. But just as my days changed, so too did my nights. Night after night, I found myself wide awake at 4 a.m., eyes wide open, unable to sleep. And the thought that kept rattling around in my head, what if I'd been born in the mountains of Peru, or the slums of San Salvador, or the plains of East Africa? Would I be one of 200 million people slowly going blind from cataracts for whom the $2,000 cost of cataract surgery is utterly beyond their imagination? Or even one of the 20 million people in the world completely blind in both eyes, their productive lives over for want of a 15-minute surgery? 90% of these people live in the developing world, where just under 1 billion people live on less than $2 a day. And cataracts account for half of all the blindness in the world. Lying in bed night after night, unable to sleep, I came to a realization. If I was ever going to sleep well again, I'd need to try to pay my gift forward. The next morning, I made a phone call. Hey, I said, I'm a skilled surgeon. I'll pay my own way. Called a charity. Can you link me up with some people who need my help? And the woman on the other end of the phone was thrilled to hear from me. We'd love to have you, she said. Do you do MSICS? MSICS? What's that? You know, MSICS, manual small incision cataract surgery, surgery without technology or fancy equipment, done by hand. So I'm kind of an expert at cataract surgery. I read my journals, I go to my meetings, I talk to people, and I've never heard of MSICS, manual cataract surgery. In fact, the whole idea of it sounded completely stupid to me. Cataract surgery without technology, without equipment, done by hand. So I hung up the phone, and I crossed that name off my list. And I went to the next name on the list. And the gentleman answered the phone and said, "We'd love to have you. Do you do MSICS?" And I knew right then my education in cataracts was really just getting started. I remember sitting at the kitchen table saying to myself, all right, how do you do a surgery that you've never even heard of? And even back in 2009, the answer was obvious. I opened my computer, I went to YouTube, and I typed in MSICS, manual cataract surgery. The screen opened to this video of Dr. Sandukh of Nepal magically removing a mature cataract with a few simple instruments in a 5-minute procedure. But he didn't use ultrasound to liquefy and pulverize and suck out the cataracts. Advanced cataracts of the type he sees every day are rock hard, not like the soft, melted ice cream cataracts we do in the United States, the early cataracts we do in the United States. And rock hard cataracts don't liquefy all that easily or all that safely. Instead, he had modified the incision a little bit, spread it a little bit, and he popped the cataract out in one quick step. It was simple and brilliant. I was stunned by it. More videos followed. It turned out I had accidentally opened the door to a whole world of doctors who had grown tired of telling their blind patients there was nothing they could do. Instead, they were re-engineering cataract surgery, reimagining it, and it was emerging quicker and cleaner and slicker and so much cheaper than ever before. Here was a doctor in Malawi saying, look at this, I've got this 50-cent general surgery scalpel, and with it I can make an incision that's just as structurally sound as the one you make with your $500,000 laser or your diamond blades. 50 cents. And here's a doctor in Nepal saying, I got this 25-cent hypodermic needle, and I can bend it in the shape of a fishhook, slide it through your modified incision, and pull that cataract out in one piece, just like reeling in a fish. 25 cents. And then a doctor in India said, that $200 lens implant you're using, I can manufacture one for less than $4. These were creative geniuses collaborating on the internet without university or corporate support. And they were creating something simple and elegant and profound, a 5-minute surgery costing less than $25. It was better suited to the rock-hard cataracts they saw every day than Western techniques, which are designed for softer, earlier cataracts. And it opened the door and set the path towards the goal of eliminating needless blindness in the world. I spent a long weekend here in Santa Barbara learning the ins and outs of the surgery with See International, a nonprofit that's dedicated to the end of needless blindness and that teaches this technique around the world. And then See International sent me to Honduras, where I spent another long weekend working alongside a skilled manual cataract surgeon. A few weeks later, and roughly 5 months after I'd started losing my own vision, I'm on a plane headed for the highlands of Peru. Here's everything I need, well, in Jacksonville, to do a clean surgery. And here's everything I need in Huamachuco. I want to give you some idea of how much demand there is for eye care services in the world's poorest places. That's my waiting room in Huamachuco on the Sunday before my Monday scheduled start. I thought I'd show up a day early and just take a look around before anybody got there. And this is the line outside my clinic on the first day of my clinic in Chalatenango, El Salvador, and again, still, on the last day. This surgery can have an amazing impact on people's lives. This is Evangelina. I met her in Pequín, El Salvador. This picture was taken moments after her patch had been removed, and you can see that she's pretty happy to be able to see again for the first time in a long time. But take a look at the joy in her daughter's eyes. Moments after this picture was taken, her daughter started dancing around the room with Evangelina's grandson, Miguelito, 7 years old. Turns out, now that Evangelina can see again, Miguelito's free to go to school. For every blind person in the world, there's another person, often a child, whose job it is to care for her. Curing one frees them both. This is Umberto. I met him in San Pedro Sula. For hours, he sat against the wall, quiet, stoic, silent, isolated. Even while all the other patients were engaging with their neighbors and with staff, he was so quiet, so isolated, so still, that I came to believe he probably had Alzheimer's disease. Soon as we were done with his surgery, though, and you can see it in this picture, he was transformed. He was joyful, exuberant, even mischievous. He had been locked in by his blindness. It had robbed him not just of his sight, but of his very personhood. Restoring his sight restored his soul as well. I spent a whole day in Chalatenango asking people what they most wished to see when they could see again the next day. And most people answered as you'd imagine. I'd love to see my wife or my kids again. I'd love to be able to take care of myself and not be so dependent. I'd love to be able to get back to work. But the answer of one woman astounded me. I yearned to see the first rays of dawn's light as they streamed through my bedroom window. Her eloquence was even more astounding because I noticed that she was illiterate, like many people in that region. Here's a picture of the thumbprint with which she signed her consent form. I thought about her all night, couldn't get her out of my head. The next morning, I awoke before dawn. The nurses had arranged all the patients in chairs. Their patches had been removed. And I walked in the door and immediately looked for her. But I couldn't find her anywhere. And then I noticed an empty chair. And a moment later, I saw her out on the porch, watching the first rays of dawn's light as they streamed over the mountainside. Now I'm just one person, and I could do this surgery night and day for the rest of my life, and when I was done, there'd still be 20 million people blind from cataracts. But let me give you some idea of what this surgery can do when it's scaled properly. This is my friend Ilesh Jain. He lives in Chitrakoot in the north of India. 10 years ago, Ilesh became the director of a 20-bed eye hospital. With the promotion of manual cataract surgery and with a scaled payment program, that hospital grew from a 20-bed hospital to a 2,000-bed hospital. He's got 80 doctors now that do 600 surgeries on previously blind patients every day. Last year, they did 130,000 cataract surgeries. And his hospital remains profitable, even though only 20% of people pay more than $30 for their surgery. Similar success stories can be found elsewhere in the world. In the Himalayas, cataracts are largely disappearing. In Latin America, cataract surgery rates have increased by 70%. And worldwide, the age-adjusted prevalence of blindness has fallen 58% over the last 20 years. There's a ton of work yet to be done, especially in Africa and in the poorer parts of Asia. And as people live longer and longer all around the world, as they gratefully are, and as more and more people come to inhabit our planet, the challenge will only grow more daunting. But the path is clear. With promotion of highly efficient, low-cost surgery, and with increased training and infrastructure, the prospect of eliminating blindness is in sight. If you're a doctor or a nurse or an OR technician, join us. We could use your help. If you'd like to make a leveraged donation in the future of human potential, we need your support. And if you're listening to this talk from a place in the world where access to sight restoring surgery is absent, please contact us. We'd love to try to be of help. Let me bring you back to Prudential. When Prudential heard that I was coming to Oaxaca, he made plans to come visit. But in the days prior to my arrival, a big storm came and it washed away the mountain road that connected his mountain town to the highway. With the help of two really loyal friends, he walked 8 hours down a dirt road, completely blind, to get to the highway and take a bus to my clinic. I did surgery on one eye one day and the other eye the second day, and here I am saying goodbye to Prudential the morning after that. One of the really unfortunate things about doing surgery episodically as I travel is that I most often don't get to hear the end of the story. But it's a remarkable and rapidly changing world in which we live. And I'm sitting on the couch at home a month after I said goodbye to Prudential when I got a Facebook friend request. from a name that didn't look familiar. Turns out Prudencio had a friend with a cell phone. And here's Prudencio seeing his 18-month-old daughter for the first time ever. Thank you.